Okay, this is CCOT, a change in continuity over time. Okay, now what we're going to be talking about first is about an acceptable thesis. An acceptable thesis, we need three main points. It needs to be 2-to-1 ratio. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to have two changes or two continuities or vice versa. Now, an important part that a thesis needs to have is that you need to address all parts of the question. Because there's a lot of times where people would address only a part of the prompt, but actually won't address it all. And you also need to give a specific timeline. Okay, this is an example of a really, really terrible thesis. They only address part of the prompt about the chapter, and they give 3 topics. Now, going back to our guidelines, this does not really prove a 2-to-1 ratio. So that right there, you'd get points off for that. It does not address all parts of the question, so you give points off for that, and it does not give a specific timeline, which means that this thesis would be really, really terrible, and you'd probably get like an F on it. F minus. Okay, this is an example of a good thesis. Okay, so we have a good introductory when analyzing. We are restating the prompt right here, or addressing it. We have a timeline right here, and we have, looks like, 2 changes, a continuity. So this is an example of a good thesis. Of course, points on examination would tell us that it could be better if they actually wrote out what is a change and what is a continuity, but all in all, this is a pretty good thesis. Okay, now moving on to the body paragraphs. You need to be able to back up your thesis with historical evidence. We don't really want analogies or stories about like that one time where you and your friend dug up worms. No, that does not belong in body paragraphs. Okay, you need at least 5 pieces of accurate evidence per paragraph, preferably, because we don't want any opinions or any fluff. We want straight to the information with this. Good rule of thumb is if your body paragraphs aren't at least 6 sentences long, they probably don't have enough information on it. And then you gotta explain how it differs from all the other different contexts. And the most important thing about your paragraph is you have to analyze the main points, which is also something that you can do in your conclusion as well, which we'll talk about later. Also, there's different types of body paragraphs you can do, or changes. One, for instance, is a definite date, which is a beginning date with no real ending date. You only would do this if, like, for instance, you had a topic that basically required it. And again, make sure you are answering the prompts. So for your conclusion paragraph, all you need to do is restate the thesis, go over your main points, and then make sure you go over everything and make sure it's with analysis. Because a lot of thingamajig's that we write, CCOTs, do not have enough analysis. An example of a really, really bad conclusion is there's a thesis, but they really don't give any analysis. They say a point of analysis instead of giving us an analysis. So if we look back, you've only got one of the things, 1 out of 3. So that would still be an F. It'd be an F minus. Do not write this kind of conclusion. Instead, this is a lot better conclusion. It's restating the thesis right here, and it talks about how it differs, goes over the main points, and it gives analysis at the end, right here. We're just talking about how it affects the future. So overall, that is how you write a change in continuity paper over time.